I was wrong. Ohio State actually fulfilled expectation and beat Oregon. Did you hear that? I was wrong. This is the first pick I've missed in a couple of weeks. And I have the receipts for it. But I'm going to talk about this in just a second. Welcome to the channel. If you like talking college football, you like talking Clemson football, and you like supporting someone who's independent, I hope you'll subscribe. It is free. I just went over 7,000 subscribers. My channel is very young, and so I really appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who subscribed so far and supports the channel. So I do appreciate it. Ohio State. I picked you to beat Tennessee. You beat Tennessee. Also picked you to beat Michigan. I'm not taunting you. I'm just telling you the truth. Who in their right mind would believe that this roster would lose to that Michigan team at the Horseshoe? Well, that's in the past. What, a few weeks ago? So when I looked at this Ohio State-Oregon game, it was very tough for me to pick. In fact, this was the toughest pick of all of them. It's the most exciting game. When I say exciting, it was the biggest game of this round. And I put it off because I was literally sitting there thinking, who's going to win this game? Who's going to win this game? Now, for some Ohio State fans, you're really good fans. You have your fun talking some trash here and there. But at the end of the day, you're easy to deal with. You're just a fan. On the other hand, there's, just like every team has that certain set of fans that are obnoxious or maybe a little cockier than they should be. We'll come in here and you're probably going to ask, well, why didn't you pick the Ohio State? Well, the reason I didn't pick the Ohio State is the same reason you wanted to fire the head coach of your team just a few weeks ago. That's why. Coaching matters, and I've said that over and over. And I just didn't see Ryan Day winning this ball game. I don't care if it's hard to beat the same team twice in the same season. But something happened to Ryan Day to where he was like, listen, guys, I'd like to stay the coach here. We're going to the Rose Bowl. Let's treat this instead of like a Big Ten playoff matchup. Let's just treat this like the Rose Bowl against a Pac-12 team. And I'm going to tell you what, Ohio State absolutely dropped their drawers and crapped all over Oregon. It was 34-0 at one time. And Oregon gets in, a touchdown and he gets a 2-point conversion. That's all, fine and dandy. Ohio State ends up winning the ball game 41-21. It was just a total mess. Ohio State had 500 total yards to Oregon's 276. Oregon couldn't do anything. Now, both teams basically had the ball about the same amount of times. And what's funny is that these teams, they met earlier in the season. Oregon wins by 1 point at home. But what's so funny about both of these teams, you really didn't have that many penalties. No significant yardage was lost via penalty. And there was absolutely, get this folks, absolutely no turnovers. Maybe the most insulting part, other than the score, is that Oregon rushed for negative 23 yards. Yeah, folks, you're not having an episode. I said negative 23 yards. How do you do that? I mean, if you were Midall State playing against Ohio State, I get it. If you're the Red Hat ladies of Bertha Tech, I get it. Oregon? What happened to y'all? You've been number one for weeks. 4 weeks. You beat these guys right here. I mean, yeah, 1 point still a point. You won. You just got finished beating Penn State for the conference championship. You've had weeks to prepare for this. What happened? I'll tell you what happened on Ohio State side. Ryan Day knows that the fans, the donors, they're tired of him. I mean, really. And when you get to this level of football, and this is a message that a lot of people really don't like to talk. In Clemson, South Carolina, they definitely don't like to talk about it. Yes, I'm talking about some of my fellow Clemson fans. They don't like to talk about it. In Clemson, South Carolina, you win a few championships, and then you can be totally mediocre for the next 25 years, and we should all be happy, or else we're spoiled. They'll never verbalize it, by the way. They'll never say it like I just said it, but that's the going thought. Keep paying absorbent prices for tickets. Continue to pay your coaching staff laughable money. But don't you dare have an expectation, you bunch of brats who feel entitled. But Ohio State's not that way. And no offense, Ohio State fans. I have some good supporters. I have, friend Eric Boggs over at the OHI podcast. Good people. Sue Kavanaugh. Some of you're really, really nice people. But I'm not an Ohio State fan at all. At all. But I agree with their sentiment. If you pour a ton of money into a program, you're expected to win and win at a high level. Congratulations. You beat a team. Let me look at their schedule real quick, just so I nail down team. Oh, congrats. You beat Akron. You're supposed to beat Akron if you're at Ohio State. The fans expect that. The fans expect you to beat Iowa and the most pedestrian offense in the United States of America. The fans expect you to beat Nebraska. That's not 1995 Nebraska. They expect you to beat Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana when they're good. They expect you to beat Michigan. But they not only expect you to do that, they expect you to beat every really good team. Why? Because this is one thing, though I am not a Buckeye fan and at all. This is one thing I can totally run parallel with their argument. When you pay a lot, you expect a lot. When your school pays outrageous money, and then you turn and you look at like Arizona State, who was not historically a great team, and you saw what they did to Texas, who spends a ton of money on football, who has a ton of history, and you see they almost beat Texas, you scratch your head and go, we're mismanaging our resources here. And that's one thing I can agree with Buckeye fans on. You can be thankful for what's happened in history, but you still have that expectation. And if you don't have that expectation, it's time to renegotiate some contracts. It's time to lower ticket prices. Good grief, the cost of a hot dog doesn't cost that much. Drop that. Let's stop playing the NIL collective game. Let's stop charging so much for replica team jerseys. Let's just stop acting like we have a high expectation. That's one thing I can agree with Ohio State. But he went in and he secured his flipping job yesterday. I think that Ryan Day is now fine. He would have to get blown out. He would have to get blown out in this next round. Oh, who are they playing in the next round? They're playing Texas on the 10th, 7:30 on ESPN. Ohio State is a 6-point favorite as of today. This is Thursday, January the 2nd. Right before the Georgia Notre Dame game. That kicks off in about an hour as of right now. People are believing that Ohio State and Texas, two of the teams that spends more money on football than about anyone, if not the top two, they believe Ohio State's going to win this football game. They believe that they're stronger than Texas. The only thing that makes me go, wait a second, is the leadership, and no offense to Ryan Day, but it is the leadership of Ryan Day. And that's the reason, that's one of the reasons, I'm serious, I almost picked Ohio State to win this game against Oregon. And then I went, but Ryan Day. Really. And that's what stopped me. It was a tough one to pick. Congrats to Ohio State. You're playing Texas next. And that's a big game, the Cotton Bowl. And whoever wins that game goes to the national championship. Folks, if you like what I'm doing, hope you'll subscribe. Drop me a comment in the comment section. Say hello. Y'all take care of yourself. And as always, go Tigers.